We've got 9 games on Saturday. Let's preview them. Let's talk about streaming options. Let's look at the upcoming portions of the schedule that are important to us. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I declare bankruptcy. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL regular season is almost over, but you can still cash in with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, LockedOnDaily.com. Go there, find the newsletter for your favorite team. Well, first find your favorite team, then get the newsletter stuffed into your inbox. 5 days a week, all the best info from around the web. You can stuff my inbox with a thumb. You can do it with a comment. You can subscribe on audio and video, and tell me your thoughts. Tell me your feelings. Tell me how things are going in 2025. We are looking at Saturday's games in the NBA, a 9-game slate of action. It's actually World Hypnotism Day on Saturday, so if you've been hypnotized, shout out to you. Drop a comment below. How was it? How was the hypnotism? I'm not talking stage show hypnotism. Anyone has actually done like real hypnotism? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear. Not like, can you cluck like a chicken? I'm all for clucking. That's not what we're talking about. Let's talk about hypnotism, right? What a start to the show. Early game. Always important to know when there is a little bit of a weird one, a weird game, a weird situation on the schedule, and that's what we've got on Saturday. It's not super early. It's just 1 hour early. A 6 p.m. Eastern game for, I don't know, some reason, between Philadelphia and Brooklyn. So be aware of that. Be ready to set the old lineups just that hour earlier. Let's start with that game when we're talking about what is on my radar and the things we're paying attention to. There's a lot in this one. Both of these teams play 4 games next week in week 12, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday for both the Sixers and the Nets. In terms of injury updates, KJ Martin is going to be out for Philadelphia. We actually just, I believe, got an injury update for the Sixers. Yeah, we did, because obviously you know that I put these together and we're in a dynamic situation in the league where things are always changing. So Kelly Oubre is, let me check, he is officially doubtful with that wrist sprain. Andre Drummond is off the injury report, but Joel Embiid has appeared back on it. Now, he was on the injury report yesterday and played. They don't have a back-to-back here, but he's on the injury report again. I feel like we're going to be getting a lot of Embiid on the injury reports, and he probably plays the majority of them, but he's going to be on there. In terms of the Nets, Bojan Bogdanovic is out. Trendon Watford is out. I'm guessing that Maxwell Lewis is out for the season, but they haven't given us that diagnosis yet. Cam Johnson left the last game on crutches. His x-ray was negative after spraining his ankle on the final play. I expect that he doesn't play in this one. Noah Clowney with a back injury, no update on that. D'Angelo Russell also left the last game and didn't return. That was just cramps, I believe, so I don't think there's any worry about him. And then Ben Simmons sat the last game, so he'll be available here. I'm going to try and do this as best that I can. It's not going to be easy, but Cam Thomas, I expect, will be on a minutes limit again. He's been on a minutes limit the last 2 games. He sat one of them due to return from the hamstring. I wouldn't be shocked if he's on a limit again. If you are watching this for the first time, when I put those injury statuses up there, when I put them up there, the asterisk is me guessing. It's not a confirmed official status, and I think Cam Thomas is going to be limited. Unlimited. But he's actually going to be Mr. Limited. So we'll see what happens there. Next game. Oh, no, I haven't even finished that game. What am I talking about? Who are we watching? Well, Paul George. 2 good shooting games in a row for Paulie. But is that the new thing? Well, not the new thing. Are we back to regular programming with Paul George? I hope so. We're always monitoring his usage, but the shooting has just been so bad that we want to see an extended run of good stuff. On the Nets, I do want to see what Thomas is doing, and I want to see how the Thomas and Russell backcourt works. I want to see how it all works when Simmons is around, and this is going to be our first shot at it, not our first full look at it, because I don't think Thomas is playing full minutes, but we're going to get a better idea of how this plays out. In terms of streaming options, Caleb Martin is probably the guy. in Philadelphia. Will they continue to start Kyle Lowry and get 0 points in 12 minutes? Maybe. So that doesn't really matter. It's about what Martin can do, and he's very hit or miss. We know this. On the net side of things, Ben Simmons is profiling as a pretty good stream option. Just be aware of that. I don't think he's a must-roster player, but there's a difference between being must-roster and being available to be a solid stream on a day, and that's where I think Simmons is at the moment with D'Angelo Russell arriving. Second game that we look at here, we've got the Wolves and the Pistons. This is a back-to-back for Detroit, so we're going to see the aftermath of the Jaden Ivey injury on Friday. Schedule-wise, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for Minnesota, and Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday for Detroit. Injury-wise, though, Rob Dillingham and Luka Garza both missing a bunch of games recently, but it does not matter. And Simone Fontecchio is out on Friday. I'm going to put him questionable with the personal reasons on Saturday. On the Wolves side of things, I think probably the most important thing here to watch is Rudy Gobert, because Gobert's minutes have dropped. He played like 30 and 31, I think, or 28 the last 2 or 3 games. And we saw bigger games in the last 2 from Nazareth Reed. Now, I don't know whether the Wizard of Noz is going to play those 28 minutes a night. I don't know if he's going to be good. He's been bad outside of about 3 games all season. But we have seen Reed play more of late, and Gobert's sort of been pushed back a little bit. So I want to see, is this a slump from Gobert? Is it the beginning of the full washed area? I don't know. In terms of stream, guys, you know it. I know it. It's Jaden McDaniels. It's always Jaden McDaniels. He's always the stream guy there. And yes, Dante DiVincenzo is a must-roster player. And on the Pistons, Malik Beasley's the stream guy. Asar Thompson also would be an option there, but he has jumped over the threshold that I use. I think he's at 42% now. Rostered on Yahoo, but we're going to get, again, better information on this through Friday's game to see what sort of lineups they trot out there without Jaden Ivey available. Let's go to the next game. It is in Indiana. It is Phoenix. It is their second and final game of the week. But of course, next week, Phoenix plays 5 games. So they go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, the Suns. So when we're looking at the value of those guys, it's obviously jumping up with the 5 games coming up next week. Indiana plays Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Royce O'Neal is going to be out, and this is the final game of Yusuf Nurkic's suspension. What we don't have in Phoenix is the update on Brad Beal, who's dealing with this hip contusion, nor do we have the update necessarily on Grayson Allen. He did practice Grayson, so I think we might be all right there in terms of him being available with the shoulder, but it's still about limitations in minutes and role and that sort of stuff and working back from the concussion/shoulder. It's hard to see huge minutes, although if Beal is out, it becomes more interesting. In Indiana, I guess at some point we're going to get close to an Aaron Nesmith return. I don't know when that's coming. I'll put him doubtful for this just because we haven't heard anything, but we see teams do this often, that just out of nowhere, they'll just drop a guy on the injury report as questionable, shout out Emmanuel quickly, and they play that same day. So we've got to be getting close with Nesmith. We just don't know yet. In terms of what's on my radar, Ryan Dunn finally did the thing last game. I think he's played 20 plus minutes in 3 or 4 straight games, but what he did last game is something that's been absent all season, is he got steals and blocks. And part of the appeal of Ryan Dunn for fantasy was, hey, this guy gets steals and blocks, and he hasn't done it. He's taking a lot more threes. Also, after that ridiculously hot start and him hitting all those threes in preseason, I think he's a 26% three-point shooter. So basically, he's bad again. But those defensive stats are interesting. And if Beal and Allen are out, you could stream in there to see. I don't know that it'll happen. It's one game, but it's worth watching. And then on the Pacers, Ben Mathurin is not reliable anymore. We've seen with the return of Nembhard and Ben Mathurin becoming back to being Ben Mathurin, it's just not a reliable option in 12-teamers, which makes him not must-roster. There is a difference, again, between a must-drop player and not a must-roster player. There are a lot of different shades in the gradient of fantasy rosterability, which is just one of the most beautiful phrases that any man could come up with. Streaming, Mason Plumlee is the guy I believe in Phoenix. Obviously, Nurkic is out, so Plumlee could get you a 10-6-6 game with 2 blocks. Is that his best case scenario? Probably. But it's worthwhile. And then on the Indiana side, Andrew Nembhard still 60% plus available on Yahoo. Yeah, he had the old Satan special last game with the 6-6-6, but 6 assists is nothing to sneeze at. 6 rebounds, also pretty good. And he does have the ability to get 15, 16, 20 points. He can do it. He's not necessarily going to do it, and I think he should be on rosters. But we always talk about this, and this is a general rule of life. It's a mantra. It's a... idiom's not the right word. What's one of those other words? All right. Do give me your best thesaurus, your thesaurific input here. What's the best word for like mantra? Life goal. Drop it in the comments. I know there's some real funny ones out there. Mantra's good, just reminds me of a hotel, but there are better ones. Drop them in the comments. That's your task for today. So Andrew Nembhard, if that's just a side quest over there, I deviated as much off track there as Virat Kohli trying to sledge a 19-year-old. If anyone gets that, and I know you do because there's a bunch of Aussies in the comments here. We're also talking about, the general mantra of fantasy is if someone's your worst player, then they're not must roster. Simple as that. If you look through your roster and go, he's my worst, and that might be the case in a 12-team league, then Nembhard's not must roster. But in any situation where they're not your worst, then he probably is. And I know that might be difficult to follow, but I hope it makes sense. I think it makes sense. Sense-making legend Josh Lloyd. We will come back and we will talk about more of the games, but I'm going to tell you right now that today's episode is brought to you by the old FanDuel Sportsbook. Yes, the NFL playoffs are almost here, but it is not too late to get in on that regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. And you know how many ways you can get that W? It's so easy. You could do it with which player is going to score a touchdown. Bang. You can do it with points for an individual team. You can do it for the total for the points for the game. You can do it for straight up who's going to win. You can do it for receiving yard props and passing yard props and rushing yard props and any other NFL props they have, and basketball props and points, assists and rebounds and futures and all that stuff is there. All you got to do is just win that first $5 bet and you get $250 in bonus bets. So visit FanDuel.com today and join. And that is FanDuel.com and get your chance to get $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Just a quick question. Anyone, if you're watching on video, you can see I do have a new microphone. Can you hear the difference? So if you're listening on audio, I hope it sounds a little bit different. I don't have the pop filter on this mic because there's allegedly an internal pop filter in this mic. So I hope I'm not popping the pop through your ears. And if that was bad, I apologize, but I do want to hear about it. But let me know if you notice any difference in the microphone sound. I'm sure you will, and I'm sure any time something changes and I'm like this too, you'll go, oh, that sounds different and wrong. But I just, let me know what you hear. Let me know what you hear. Cool, microphone talk. Next up, it is the Utah Jazzmen. They are taking on Jimmy Butler's Miami Heat in Miami schedule-wise. Utah is one of only two teams that play Saturday and Sunday. The other is the Golden State Warriors. The Utah Jazz also have an incredibly weird schedule. And we're going to do the 5s and 2s later on. We're going to talk chunks like we always do. But I don't normally look at an 8-game run, but I do for the Jazz because they've got 6 games in the next 8 nights. Is it 8 nights? 6 games in the next 9 nights. So 6 games in the next 9 nights. I believe it is. So they go Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesday. Oh, there you go. Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. 6 games, 9 nights, most games over that time period. So when you're streaming in a Jordan Clarkson, who's probably the real option there, if you're debating whether you're holding Keontae George, 6 games, 9 nights. The Heat play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday next week. We don't have the update yet on John Collins, whether he's going to play. He's missed like a week and a half now with this hip problem. And the last 2 games have actually been Johnny Juzang in that starting group, but it's been Cody Williams at times. It's been Michael Potter in times there as well. It could be Filipowski. It could be a million different options. So we just watched that one, obviously. In Miami, Josh Richardson's missed a bunch of time as well. Don't think he's a part of the rotation. And I'll just put Jimmy Butler's name there. I don't know what's going to happen. Is Jimmy going to half-ass it again and play 27 minutes? Is Eric Spoelstra going to punch him in the face and Jimmy going to punch back like they almost did 2 years ago? Remember that? Remember they almost had a fight on the court and Udonis Haslem had to step in and say, Jimmy, what is wrong with you? Remember that? Yeah? Will Spoelstra or Riley or Jimmy just say, I'm not playing? I don't know. Yesterday, obviously, 2 really terrible games in a row from Jim, where he clearly wasn't trying and got benched. Will Spoelstra just say, we don't need this shit. See you later. You're not playing. I don't know. Will he get traded between now and that game? Almost definitely not. Because, again, where is he going? Who is trading for him? And Jimmy remains, and I can be critical of Jimmy. Not sure if you're aware of that from me, but I'll give him plenty of praise here. His ability to create a positive narrative around himself is unrivaled. It's unrivaled. What's not true? No, it is. It's unrivaled. Because It's everyone's like, well, actually, every one of these situations where it's been the other team's fault. I've heard that from multiple people. Really? It's actually this. Well, look at what he did. He dragged 2 teams to the finals. There's so much disrespect to the Heat. Yeah, why aren't they paying him? He's getting $50 million right now. When you get $50 million a year, that's a lot of money. You are currently getting compensated for doing your job and being very good, and he was very good. These ideas of like, what more can Jimmy do? He wanted them to upgrade the roster and they didn't. So yeah, he's in the right here for not wanting to play. Really? That's really? Like the PR that he's able to put out that he is the guy that is always right and everyone is doing him wrong. It's fantastic. He has done a great job at that. I'm not saying that other sides don't have any blame in this, because there's always going to be there's always going to be blame on both sides or some fault that someone else did. But to say that Butler gets disrespected by all these franchises and he needs to be paid because he did this and took them to the finals, like he is paid. And when honestly, and this is again what I have heard back channels through the last 12 months, the reason this is happening now, it's not because of the roster, it's not because of playing time, it's not because of this. It's because the Heat said, we don't think we want to give you a max extension. You're not available enough, you're not playing enough, we won't pay you a max extension. That is all it is. It's not about role changing, it's about we're not giving you a max extension right now. That is what it is. But it's been able to be switched in and twisted into a bunch of different other reasons, which again is masterful PR work. Great work. On the Jazz, I said there what we want to watch is Walker Kessler, because I don't know. At the start of the season, there was skepticism. He dropped way down boards, and we thought, that's pretty interesting. Let's grab him there and see where we go. His minutes have pushed up, but I don't know how you view Walker Kessler, if you've got him or if you're a Jazz fan. Like, I would say he's been, like, adequate. I don't think he's blown us away. I don't think we look, that was so ridiculously dumb to be limiting him to 23 minutes last season. He's a star or anything. I don't think anyone thinks that. I don't know where he is. I can't really, and it's hard to sort of figure out where anyone is on this Jazz team, but I just don't really know what we're getting. And of course, on the Heat side, Jimmy Butler's the focus. Is he going to play? Is he going to hit 30 minutes? Is he going to take more than 6 shots? Is he going to engage? Is he going to do something outrageous? I don't know. So we have to watch it. The stream guy has to be Jordy Clarkson on the Jazz. In fact, you just roster him. 6 games, 9 nights. It'll fall off at some point, but now they're leaning into him. And the guy on the Heat, who, again, I don't trust anyone on the Heat. I don't trust any of the rotations. I don't trust any of that stuff. But I think it's 5 assists in 3 consecutive games for Nikola Jovic, maybe even more. I don't think that Jovic benefits gigantically if Butler is traded, but maybe he squeezes 2 to 3 extra minutes out. Maybe he gets 1 or 2 extra shots. He's at least pushing into if I'm in a 14 team, they'll go, maybe I'll just have a look at Jovic because I like what we're getting here. And in 12s, we're in streaming zone with Jovic, I think. Next game. Portland. Milwaukee. We're in Milwaukee here to host Portland. Both teams are 4 games next week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Portland. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday for the Bucks. Matisse Thybulle remains out for Portland. We have not seen him this season. He is in that list of players where you go, remember him? Who's on that list for you? Bojan Bogdanovic has got to be one of them. Thybulle's obviously one of them. Who's the other guy? There's someone else that I'm missing. It's just like, that guy. Thybulle's on that list. Jeremy Grant's missed last 2 games with a face injury. Not sure if we're going to get to see the Bucks face Jeremy Grant in this one. I'll put him as questionable, but honestly, who knows? And then him returning would be what happens to Avdija. What does it do to the center rotation? What does it do to Scoot? There are a lot of downstream effects from that. On the Bucks side of things, Big Boom AJ Green missed the last game. If he is back, that impacts Trent, it impacts Prince, it impacts Rollins, it impacts all of those players. Not that it matters much for fantasy. On the Blazers side of things, Scoot Henderson. Big minutes last game. But of course, that was because they went small. The game before he played 23 minutes. His usage was also down in the last one. It is really important to me to see how they use him. Because if he's 28 minutes a night, if Grant plays, that's great. Then I am going, 12 teams, we were into it. But if he goes back and plays 23 minutes, he just becomes a stream guy. And on the Bucks side of things, Brook Lopez's minutes are down. Bobby Portis is playing well. Lopez is sort of out of favor. We've seen Glenn Rivers sing this song, dance this dance many times. Will he go back to Brook playing 33, or will Brook stay in 25? Seems unlikely he stays at 25, but we've got to watch it. The stream guide to me is Tamani Kamara, assuming that Denny Avdia has been grabbed in leagues, but Kamara is the guy whose upside is low, but can provide numbers in a lot of spots. And then we're talking deeper league stuff for the Bucks, but it is the artist formerly known as Torian Prince, even though my level of confidence of that couldn't be lower. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime live events. This is what GameTime specializes in. GameTime picks. They get you tickets to go see live things, sports, music, comedy, theater. It is all there, and GameTime can get you there easy. You don't have to worry about finding the good value. GameTime picks filters out the fluffs, maybe not the fluffs, just the fluff, and shows you the good options to buy those tickets. They've also got the super deal, which is a super impressive, like, hey, this is the one. Focus on this. It's really good value, and they chuck those things out there on the app all the time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create the account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account and redeem the code LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time. All right. Let's talk about the next game. Which one is the next game? It's your New York Knicks, my Chicago Bulls, ready to battle in the United Center. Knicks are on a back-to-back coming into this one, and then they play 4 next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. The Bulls are also a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday team. Mitchell Robinson will be out for the Knicks. The question's going to be about the guards for the Knicks. The burner Jalen Brunson and Orange Juice McBride they are questionable on Friday. It's the Knicks, it's Thibodeau, so I don't really know how they're going to approach this, but I'll put them both as questionable for Saturday. Ayo Dosunmu and Torrey Craig remain out for the Bulls. Remember, Ayo Dosunmu was going to be reevaluated in 10 days, and the Bulls said he was doubtful 2 days later? Well, of course, he's missed all of the week because they're idiots and they're liars. Simple as that. On the Bulls, what am I watching? Patrick Williams, who is starting. He's playing somewhat better. He only played 25 in the last game, but it's constantly monitoring his minutes. He's very firmly in the I'm a forward who doesn't do enough to be rostered all the time and does enough, though, to be a stream guy. Jaden McDaniels is the captain of that group. Also, shout out to DeAndre Hunter for taking himself out of that group. He broke free. He was able to get out of that group, and now he is a guy that's putting up great numbers. We'll see whether these guys can ever do it. You never know. If one gets free, maybe others can. Who we stream in? Well, it would depend. If Brunson and McBride are out, then Payne is the guy. Otherwise, Precious Achiuwa is okay to stream in there. And then for the Bulls, with no Dosunmu, we've seen Lonzo Ball push over 20 minutes, I think 2 or 3 in a row. And 22 to 23 minutes of Lonzo is enough in 12-team leagues to take a crack at least for streaming. Not like going to feel super confident about it, but the opportunity is there for more from Lonzo. The next game is 2 teams, which is really frustrating. Again, do you know me? I'm a massive fan of back-to-backs. Love them. They're so good for the NBA. What a great idea they are to have in a schedule. Because now we're going to have Jokic against Wemby with both teams on a back-to-back. Can anyone think? Jokic and Wemby. Great matchup. Love to see it on a back-to-back. Still love to see it. Can't wait to see it. Remember when the Spurs beat the Nuggets end of last season with Wemby going crazy, which basically took the Nuggets out of the 1 seed? Started their playoff downfall. Nuggets have Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday next week, and the Spurs are Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Aaron Gordon and Vlatko Čančar are going to be out for the Nuggets. I don't know about Jeremy Sohan. I'll put him on the doubtful side. He's sitting on Friday with the back tightness, so it's not like a strain. It's not like a disc issue. It's not a pulled muscle. It's not a fracture. It's nothing like that. They just said tightness, which, of course, is the very common NBA term in terms of lying about injuries. So I'll put him on the doubtful side of questionable, but they haven't at least come out and said that it's something more significant. What are we streaming in here? Probably Peyton Watson. That's more categories than points. Russ is the guy, obviously, that we roster, but he's been grabbed. And Keldon Johnson, I think, is the stream in San Antonio with the potential absence of Sohan. Julian Champagnie could be in that mix as well. Both of those guys are worth looking at. Grizzlies and the Warriors. That is the, 8th game of the day. Memphis is on a back-to-back in this one. They play Monday, Thursday, Saturday next week, whereas Golden State, like Utah, are the team that plays the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And then next week, it's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for Golden State. So they've got a pretty busy schedule coming up too. Morant, Smart, Aldama, Williams, and GG Jackson are all going to be out for Memphis, but the question marks are going to be on Edey, Clark, and LaRavia. Those three players are all questionable still for Friday. It came out, the report about the Grizzlies was that, actually no, Zach Edey didn't have a concussion. He had a complex migraine which was giving concussion symptoms. Okay. If Edey plays Friday, I'm very confident he plays Saturday. Clark, I'm not so sure about with a calf strain, and LaRavia with an ankle. They are borderline or iffy options. And they're all, of course, playing either the 5 or the 4. LaRavia a little bit at the 3, which opens up stuff for other guys like Lil John Conchar. So we need to monitor how all that stuff plays out. On the Warriors side of things, Gary Payton's going to be out. They keep saying that Brandon Podziemski's injury is not significant in his day-to-day. He's missed, 2 or 3 in a row? I think he misses this one. Especially with a very, very busy period of games coming up. It is a back-to-back as well for Golden State. So I think Podziemski sits in this game. Maybe he plays Sunday, but I don't know. But I don't think that he plays on Saturday. The final game of the day is the Hawks and the Clippers, and this might be really interesting for a number of reasons. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is Atlanta. The Clippers are Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Now, Atlanta's on a back-to-back here, and Larry Nance, we know, is going to be out. We don't know the status of a few Hawks guys. Bogdanovic hasn't played in forever. We shouldn't be rostering him, by the way. I'll put him questionable here, but both Trae Young and Jalen Johnson are questionable for Friday's game. Now, both of those guys have gone around and gone through shoot-around for Friday, so I expect that they play, and I think they'll be fine. I think they'll play in this game as well, but we've got to watch that. Terrence Mann, I don't think is going to play for the Clippers, but he could. But the big thing is going to be, it has been talked about for a week or so now that this is the game that they expected Kawhi Leonard to return to. Now, is there a bigger team/player that lies about injuries? No. I can't remember one ever being as bad as this. Shout out to Ty Lue telling us that Kawhi Leonard was ready for the beginning of training camp, right? When clearly he wasn't. Shout out to Lawrence Frank telling us that he was completely healthy at Team USA camp, which clearly he wasn't, right? So they lie about this stuff all the time. I don't know whether he's going to play here. I don't know how long he's going to play for. He might be back. He also might not be. But, of course, we need to watch that. Jim Harden also sat the last game. I don't expect that there's any long-term issue here with Harden. I think we're okay. They called it a groin problem. I think he's okay. So, of course, we want to watch Kawhi Leonard. We want to watch the impact from Kawhi onto others like James and Norman Powell in particular. I also want to watch Ivica Zubac because Ty Lue at the end of last game said that Zubac was dealing with an injury. He said he got an injection before he played. So don't be shocked if there is a game coming up here that Bumba has to start and Zubac sits. Or we just continue to get limited Zubac minutes for a period of time. But the hierarchy of power for the Clippers is about to change at some point, I'm guessing, and we need to see how that all goes. There seemed to be, people also had some issues with me saying that the sell high window on Norman Powell was over in yesterday's game, or from yesterday's bad shooting night. I firmly believe that's true, and I firmly believe that he's clearly not a 9% shooter, but his shooting had already been moving down, again hidden by a giant spike in usage. His production had started to wane a little bit of waning, and now he's going to have to cede shots to Kawhi when he returns. That is all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Norman Powell was not a great value pick where you got him in drafts. I love getting him late. I'm not saying he's not still going to be good. I'm not saying he's not going to have good games at any point later in the season or even spike games. But that ability to be able to cash in fully, I believe, is just completely done. Especially if Kawhi does return here, your ability to cash in on Norman Powell at the peak of his value is over. That is what I'm saying. And I know sometimes it can be just easy to hear a part of it where I say Norman Powell's sell-high window is over, and then the translation becomes you think he's bad and he's going to end up being a drop. Why do you hate him? But that's not what it's about. It's about the level of production that he was providing. It's not going to be at that number. It's impossible for him to have maintained that all the way through, and the ability to cash in on that, I believe, is done. Stream guys, Risa Shea is probably the guy, even though I expect that Johnson and Young are going to play. Bogdanovic out helps him. He's not like a super ad or anything like that, but Bogdanovic's absence has helped Risa Shea be useful. And then I'm just sneakily looking at Mo Bamba. You could put Chris Dunn in this mix. I think if Kawhi does play, Dunn is going to drop down in minutes quite a bit. Porter might actually move out of the rotation. Honestly, I don't know if he 100% will, but he could. But if Zubac is limited, we just watch a little bit of Mo Bamba, unfortunately, because watching Mo Bamba is very, very painful. So, we might do that. Let's let's take a look at how the schedule now has an impact across fantasy. Like I said, there are two teams that play back-to-backs on the weekend. It's the Warriors and it's the Jazz. So, when we talk back about John Collins, maybe there's probably a chance he doesn't play both of these games, even if he's available. Maybe there's a random Lowry Markkanen back tightness pop up. But Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, and then a random assortment of faceless bums, the old balloon crew, could jump in for the Jazz or for the Warriors. I think there's limits Pajemski, but if you are for some godforsaken reason holding on to Buddy Hield, or you still got Dennis Schroeder, and that's another thing with the Warriors, with them having, we'll talk about them in a sec, but you've got this back-to-back coming up for both of these teams, and this is the beginning of a strong stretch for both teams in terms of volume of schedule. Both of these teams are in the really, really strong scheduling spot. If we have a look at the chunks, so that's the next 5 days. That is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all streamable days. All of these players play 3 games over that time frame. All of these players are 60% plus available. Andy Nembhard. Yves Missi, still sitting at 38% rostered. And majority of you who responded said he was taken in your league, but some of you said he wasn't. So I'm just, again, throwing the name out there for those of you that aren't double onyxing or just in the shallower formats. Missi is available, so the numbers don't 100% lie, but a nice little schedule bump here. Is a schedule plus spot for these guys. There you go. I don't think it's going to catch on, because even I can't remember to say schedule plus. But if you didn't hear, I talked yesterday saying, hey, that wants to be my term when it's a really positive scheduling situation. I just call it schedule plus. So the Warriors and Jazz, schedule plus. Leaky Beasley, Malcolm Brogdon, Ben Simmons, Jaden McDaniels. All of these guys are sitting on waiver wires in a lot of spots, and this is where you use them. We talk about droppables and must rosters and streamable guys, but these are the situations where, Beasley, yes, we roster him, right? I think Nembhard, yes, we roster him, but Brogdon, Simmons, and McDaniels. 3 games, 5 nights, no back-to-backs on the Simmons one either. It's just an accumulation. If he plays 25 minutes, Ben, it's one out at 75 minutes. Maybe more, probably 75, and maybe you get 21 assists out of it. Maybe you get 20 rebounds. Maybe you get 15 points. I don't know. But it's just schedule plus. It's advantage. It's bulk points added in, bulk fantasy points, bulk production. In terms of 5s and 2s, the last little play on the schedule, because we are a non-calendrical group, we're a non-calendrical community, we're a thesaurific community, and they're words that I make up. The Warriors play 5 games in the next 7 nights, so schedule plus. So Dennis Schroeder has been bad. He was very good in the last game. But Jackson Davis, Schroeder, Kuminga, Wiggins, I won't put Pajemski in that mix, but even Hield. Hield's bad, but you might get 100 minutes out of Bud over the next 7 nights. And that's that's finding a 33-minute player who's a 3-game player off the waiver wire, which is not easy to do. 5 games, 7 nights for the Warriors, schedule plus positioning for that team. Should we do streaming? Let's do it. Streams of the days. I'm going to tell you, I'm not massively enthralled by the list of names on the stream of the day. They're fine. They project out well, but Ben Simmons sits up there at the 10-team one. Do I feel good about it? No. Lonzo Ball in 12s. Mason Plumlee in 14 teams. I feel actually better about that. I think he's a very strong 14-team league stream. And then his 16-teamer is Caleb Martin, who, again, could easily be much higher on this list. He can hit or miss with the best of them. And then for Yahoo and ESPN points, he's still 60% plus available. Andrew Nembhard comes out on top in that area. The 10-team streamers. Top of that list is Simmons, then Lonzo, Mike Conley and Jaden McDaniels, 2 Wolves streamers. Tumani Kamara and Mason Plumlee also can be useful. I think that these are the top 6 sort of guys available in a lot of different spots that can be used. But for some of those, you're going to find in shallower leagues as well. For your 12-team group, we still look at that first 6 names, and then we go to this next one. Caleb Martin, Patrick Williams, Little Chungus, Nikola Jovic, Obit Toppin, Peyton Watson, and of course, the Flamin' Galah, Alf Stewart, who might be a 21, 22-minute-a-night player. The deeper leagues, just always troll the first the first 2 lists there, and then we go to Achua, Jalen Wells, Muhammad Bamba, Chris Dunn, Julian Strouder, and Haywood Highsmith. And then for Yahoo points leagues, these are all 60% plus available players. We go to Nembhard, Scott Pippen. You can throw Luke Kennard in this mix as well, by the way. My confidence in him is low, but you can do it. Jordan Clarkson, Leaky Beasley, Ben Simmons, and Sterling Scooter Henderson. And lastly, ESPN points leagues. Nembhard, Pippen, Beasley, Simmons, Jordan Clarkson, and Lonzo Ball. And that is a preview on World Hypnotism Day. Enjoy the day. Enjoy Friday's games of basketball. Enjoy Saturday's games of basketball. Remember, early start, 6 p.m. start for your games on Saturday. Stream them in, set your lineups, get everything ready, and more importantly, have yourselves a good day. Reflect on the day. What'd you do good? Say it out loud to yourself. Because what's the point? Don't beat yourself up. Someone else will do that. Be positive. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.